Hi guys, welcome back to iDrum. My name is Pat Garvey. We're going to be looking at some left foot independence ideas today. These are really just basic building blocks towards looking at our left foot in a slightly different way. Looking around, you see a lot of guys that don't really use their left foot much, and there's actually a lot you can do with it without going to the whole kind of opposite end of the spectrum and going nuts with it. We're really just going to look at some 2 or 3 basic exercises that we can put together, form one exercise, and then look to build on it. So the second half of this lesson, which will be in the next issue, we'll look at how we put that practice into practice in a slightly different context. So it's quite important if you can find a way of working on these exercises with regard to building them in the way that I'm putting forward. It will really help you with that stuff. And even if it's not something you're interested in, it's a really good idea to start getting your head around some of these ideas, because it'll just help your drumming anyway. Now I've brought along a percussion pedal here so that it makes things a little bit more audible for you. The first thing, and we did talk about this in the last series of lessons, the first thing to consider is how you're actually using your left foot. And that is to say, if you are clearing the entire pedal when you go to play your left foot, then as we discussed, it looks a bit odd, and you lose 99% of the control you've got. Okay, so when you're working on these exercises, try and focus on how you're actually playing it with your left foot. Try and treat your left foot like you would your right foot, your bass drum, or if it's the other way around, the other way around. It's important as far as control goes, and you'll get a better sound as well. Now I'm using this pedal, but you can do this just as well on a hi-hat. This was what I started doing all this stuff on, and I'm just using that again so that it's just clearer, because I'll be using this hi-hat over there. So this is all about the left foot. We're going to kick it off just by playing quarter notes on our left foot, and what we're going to do is we're going to move that along a 16th note throughout the bar each time. So the first time round will be on the quarter note, second time round will be on the E, third time round on the and, fourth time round on the and back round again. The key here is to take these exercises in the notation that you've downloaded and go through them step by step. So for example, okay, if I play the first one on the quarter note, right, this is what we're going to have. I'm just going to play, first of all, before I do that, I'll just play you what we're going to have on the rest of the kit for all of these, okay? It's not going to change, it's going to be this, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's not going to change, okay? I'll introduce the first exercise now, okay? So now we're just going to put our left foot on the quarter note with this. Nothing new. I'm sure everyone's done it before in one form or another, but here we go with that, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first part of the exercise. Left foot on the quarter note. All the rest of this just stays the same. That's not going to change, okay? So now what we do is we're going to move that quarter note, a 16th note forward onto the E, okay? So now we've got this as our second exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our second exercise. Our third exercise, we're going to move it a 16th note forward again. So now we're on the offbeat 8th note, okay? So we're on the and here's what this will sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our third exercise. Fourth exercise, we're moving it a 16th note forward again. Now we're on the okay? This is what this will sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we've got our 4 exercises, okay, for our first batch. What we now need to do is put them all together, okay? So I'm going to play 4 bars of each, okay, just going round and round and round. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you do is you just loop that exercise round and round. You can hear there are a few things you've got to be careful of, and this is one of the reasons this type of exercise is good, if for nothing else than to sort these kind of things out. That's accuracy between feet. You can hear yourself, or you can end up with, or that kind of thing. It's a really good exercise for ironing those kind of things out as well, right? You take the exercise, just routine it round and round and round and round and round until you're completely comfortable with it. And then we can move on to exercise 2, okay? Now exercise 2, we're going to use 2 16th notes, okay? Each time we go round. So again, we've got the same thing on our hands, but now this is the exercise. So this is exercise 1 of the second batch, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, we're pushing that a 16th note forward, okay? So we were on the 1E, for example. We're now going to be on the E and the A, right? Sorry, the E and the AND. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our second exercise. Third exercise, we're pushing it forward a 16th note again. Okay, so now we are on the AND and the A. And that will sound like this with any luck. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's our third exercise, okay? The fourth exercise, we're pushing it forward again, okay? So we're going to be on the A and the 2. So the A and the next quarter note. So that's what this is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what we're going to do is we'll put those together again in exactly the same way we put the first lot together. Okay, you can play 1 bar routines of it, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bars, whatever. But just make sure you're routining it. The best thing you can do is play 4 bars, then 3 bars, then 2 bars, then 1 bar, and keep going around it. Here's what this will sound like when we put it all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can hear when you come round, you're playing 3 strokes in a row, okay? So again, it's good for all these type of things. It's good for accuracy as well, okay? So that's our second group of exercises. Our third exercise, we take all of those notes that we've just played. I'm not going to play them all together, but we're just going to put them together as a kind of repeating pattern, right? So again, this is what we're going to have this time, right? I'll just play the left foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we play that against the rest of our groove, okay, we have this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually quite a nice groove in itself. Remember, these are all just exercises for the purpose of building some left foot independence here beyond what we do normally, which would just be playing a quarter note or 2 and 4 on the hat, or counting the 8th notes or whatever. So they're just to expand this type of independence. What we do then, after you've got all this, okay, and you've practiced it and it's kind of cool and you can just start and finish it, we're going to put them all together as an exercise. I'm going to play 1 bar of each, which means that for our last, for the first 2 exercises, they're going to be 4 bar phrases, which means for our last exercise that I just introduced, we're going to make that a 4 bar exercise as well, okay? So that we're kind of even Stevens on it all. And I'm going to do it against a click on 60 BPM. The trick here is slow practice, because if you can control the space between the notes, it will do you a lot of favours with regard to controlling rhythms and independence and knowing how and where to place things, okay? So I'm going to put the click on 60 BPM and I'm going to go around the exercise as I suggest you practice it. Now, it's quite important that you don't start on that exercise until you've broken all of the previously mentioned exercises down and you can play them on their own, okay, as first presented, and then as each of them for 4 bars, dealing with each exercise as you go. If you do that, you won't have to go back later and paper over any cracks, because you'll have done it right in the first place. It's just a bit of work, it's a bit of practice, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had out of this, and we'll expand on this in the next lesson with some right hand stuff, and see where we get to with it. I hope you got something out of this. It's been great. See ya.